Hi everyone, it's Catherine Murphy and welcome back to my channel, International Law for Dummies. So today we're going to be continuing our series on current events, specifically Northern Ireland, Brexit, and the Internal Market Bill. So just a quick background for you guys. I know it feels like forever ago, but way back in 2016, the UK held a referendum as to whether or not it wanted to leave the EU, and it narrowly passed. So during their negotiations with the UK and the EU, struck up the withdrawal agreement deal, which was then ratified by the UK Parliament, dictating how the UK was going to leave the EU. In it is the Northern Ireland Protocol, which stipulates that Northern Ireland will essentially remain in the EU as it relates to regulations and customs so that it can preserve the soft border between Ireland and Northern Ireland. The Internal Market Bill itself was put forth by the Conservative Party, led by Boris Johnson, who's the Prime Minister of England, on September 9th, 2020, to the House of Commons. Its purpose is to essentially regulate trade between the four countries of the UK. By doing so, it essentially gives the power to Westminster to decide what is or what is not allowed within the UK, calling one into question the sovereignty of each of these countries, but importantly for us today, it overrides the Northern Ireland Protocol, which I just discussed. In the words of Northern Ireland Secretary Brendan Lewis, this international market bill breaks international law in a specific and limited way, in that it essentially overrides the withdrawal agreement, which is international law. It does so by stating that Westminster can decide to overrule essentially the EU and what customs and rules Northern Ireland is enforcing. Instead of having the border, which is pictured below, of in the sea, the Internal Market Bill essentially wants another hard border between Ireland and Northern Ireland, which the UK said they would not do. So why is the Internal Market Bill important? For one thing, people are worried they could restart the Troubles. The Good Friday Agreement, which imposed a soft border between Northern Ireland and Ireland, was crucial in starting good relations between the two countries, and the Withdrawal Act tried to preserve this. But now the Internal Market Deal might mandate essentially a hard border. Another reason why the Internal Market Bill is important is that it will severely hurt the economy, probably, of both Northern Ireland, Ireland, and the greater surrounding area. And these economies are already hurting because of COVID-19. Northern Ireland, a huge amount of its exports are to Ireland, and so both will be drastically affected by new restrictions, new taxes, new forms that people all have to fill out, many of which Northern Irish people don't know what they are, what they're going to be. Likewise, commutes between the two countries, which many people commute, are going to become much more difficult, which will also hurt the economy. So, you guys are probably wondering, what good is international law, especially if organizations, people like the Conservative Party, can so blatantly try to break it? Whether or not you agree with the internal market deal or not, it is very obviously a breach of international law, and it has huge ramifications if it goes through. Like I just talked about, it could restart the Troubles. It could severely impact people's livelihoods. This is important to a lot of people. So people might think that this is an example of international law failing, but I would actually argue against that. Taking the pre-constructivist point of view, I think that this is an example of how international law can, for one, just kind of embed itself in the culture. People look at it and they recognize it as legitimate. And the general outcry in Northern Ireland, Ireland, UK, the world, they're looking at international law. They're looking at the withdrawal agreement saying, you guys are trying to break this. This is not acceptable. They recognize it as valid. Likewise, it also gives opponents of the law a legal tool to work with. They can sue. It gives the EU grounds to sue or to just get up and walk away from the negotiating table if the UK tries to breach it. It helps them in the court. Likewise, it also helps them in the court of public opinion too. Former Prime Ministers John Major and Tony Blair wrote a very powerful op-ed piece arguing essentially my point. Likewise, Theresa May got up in the House of Lords and argued, how can anyone ever trust us again if we break international law? Britain's word becomes useless. So, because of such a large outcry, I think in part the House of Lords actually has recently rejected the most offending clauses and are sending it back to the House of Commons. Now, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I would hypothesize that if there had not been such a large outcry inspired by international law, that the House of Lords might not have been so quick as to dismiss it. Here are my picture sources, and here's my information. Feel free to pause it. Hey, thank you guys so much. Make sure to like the video and subscribe below if you haven't already, and I will see you next week. Bye!